under Urban Meyer, everything was about, being in that foxhole and playing for the guy next to you and the small unit cohesion and everything else. And rightly or wrongly, and in a lot of cases wrongly, I mean, there was this overwhelming fear that Urban was going to jump out from a corner at the Woody and unload on you. So that's the one side. On the other side, so you have it's time for war and everything else on the one side. Under Ryan Day, you have the dancing around and love, whatever. I mean, I think that you got to find something more in the middle. You don't necessarily want to go back to everybody dreading being there because they know that they are very close to probably getting verbally accosted. But I think things have gotten a little too comfortable, and that is an issue. Yes, Michigan has been quicker to address needs in the portal, but on the flip side, Michigan has had to address the portal more because of misses in recruiting. Ohio State was slow to react for its offensive line issues, and I do think that was a mistake. And I think Josh Simmons we've seen a lot of growth out of him this season. I think he is a much better player now than he was at the start of this season. He knows left from left, right from right, all of that being there. But there certainly were some miscast pieces that they needed to figure out. And when you're sitting there and having to go all in on the best of the second wave of transfer portal guys on the line, that is a miss. That is a big miss. I think that there are I still do not understand why Dallin Hayden is not playing. I do not understand, unless he puts it on the ground every single play in practice that we do not see. I do not understand why he and the burst that he can give you and his quickness and everything else, they are not using him. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Special teams, once again, whether or not you want to put the decision on the field goal on special teams and everything else, there were a lot of warning signs going in of where Ohio State's shortcomings were, and they did nothing to shore them up. And, yes, Michigan played the better game. They played the better game. They had the better game plan. They executed better. All of that is there. Not going to explain it away. I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, Michigan won because Ohio State did this and this. Michigan went out and won the game, but Ohio State certainly had opportunities to go out and assert its own will and take that game away. And we get down to the final drive, and I'm down in the tunnels under the stadium standing with about 15 former letter winners at Michigan watching it on TV or whatever, and Ohio State kind of gets a little bit of a nice call on a reception and recovery that could have been a little bang bang or whatever, and kind of felt a here we go again from those guys. I'm like, just wait. So I don't know. There's a lot that needs to be done. I'm not here to be calling for people's jobs or anything else, but if there's not some changes in the structure of this coaching staff going into 24, I think that's going to be a major indictment of the overall direction of where things are going.
Mark, to the first, not to go back to the Michigan game, but I think I was with you on the aggression at the end of that drive. I don't mind so much the start of it because earlier in the game, Kyle McCord threw an interception and gave up a touchdown, essentially. So there's some nerves about that happening, but also that is part of the problem. When you've got a quarterback that you don't trust and you're concerned about him making mistakes, you're limiting yourself. And this has been an ongoing problem all season long. Not a problem, an issue all season long. So this is also happening on Day's watch. I do think they should have gone for it on 4th and 2. There's 30 seconds left. If you don't get it, Michigan's not going to do anything about it. They're going to take a knee. They might take one shot. They're going to take a knee, and then they're going to go to the half up and be happy about it because they get the ball out of the half as well. So there really wasn't a lot that could go wrong if you go for it there. I know he said after the game, I wanted points. We wanted points. That was as unlikely a field goal as Ohio State has taken this year, and it was less likely to happen than the one Noah Ruggles missed against Georgia last season. And so completely disagree with that. Also killed the momentum that Ohio State had at that point. You're moving the ball. Go ahead and get those 2 yards, and then who knows what happens after that. If nothing else, you set yourself up for maybe like a 42-yard field goal instead of a 50. Now, he had plenty of leg for it, but he hooked it. So that's one thing. There was somebody talking about Kyle McCord saying that this is another game. Did we see the video? I think we were all there. Most of us were there when he said it. He was asked about, and he shouldn't. You have to be careful what you say about this game. And he was asked about, do you think about your legacy being built on this game, and how he was saying, like, you got to treat it like another game, basically. Like, you can't put more on your shoulders with this game that needs to be there. Now, that may be the correct approach. That may not be an approach that other players have used in terms of, well, I don't want to put too much pressure on my shoulders, or I want that pressure. He's not saying it's a lesser game. He was just saying you can't get too bogged down in the pressure of it. So obviously they know it's not just another game. And then there was something else in here that that I wanted to address, but we can move on to the super chat. But I didn't like the lack of aggression there. I didn't like the I understood not going for it on fourth down in the first quarter, but again, you're talking about being aggressive and then you don't do it. Now, Sherrone Moore's 3 fourth down attempts were you do those. Those weren't tough decisions. You go for those.
Yeah, fourth and this.
Right. But Sherrone Moore is also calling halfback options and things like that. They were swinging away. Ohio State just trying not to make mistakes, and that led to mistakes, kind of like, trying to go out there and not get hurt, and then you end up getting hurt. So, but again, it comes down
trying to stay above water.
At the base level, if you want, it comes down to one guy making a 50-yarder and another guy missing it. And does that mean everybody needs to be fired? Ryan Day needs to be fired, and we can get into that. And I'll just say this. It took 7 years for Jim Harbaugh to beat Michigan, or to beat Ohio State. 7 years at Michigan for him to beat Ohio State. You know what happened the first time John Cooper lost 3 in a row to Michigan? Nothing. You know what happened the second time John Cooper lost 3 in a row to Michigan? Nothing. So here we are. But you better win next year, though, because it's not going to be a place that he wants to be around. He may choose to leave voluntarily or something like that. He's not going to get fired.
That Xavier Johnson play where he gained 9 yards on 3rd and 10, and they didn't go for it. You just referenced that. First of all,
he landed across the line too.
Yes,
and they never reviewed it.
It needed to be reviewed. Number one, why didn't Ohio State review it? Even if it's set up 4th and that, it would have been a different possible decision.
That's something else I think that's either a product of Day calling plays and can't worry about that stuff. And also, he's getting no help. Ohio State has missed on these calls for the better part of Ryan Day's entire tenure as a head coach in terms of getting something replayed. Now, they just allow the replay officials to do their jobs. But obviously, you can't necessarily do that. And you need either Day needs to give up playing calls so he can be more focused on the game management, like that stuff. But also, you've got guys watching the replays, watching on real time what things are going on. And there's clearly not enough communication, or there isn't enough trust in that communication to be like, I'm going to throw a flag here and take a review. And shoot, during the game, I had a bunch of people hitting me up on Twitter saying, hey, that was a first down. That was a first down. Why didn't they review it? It's like, look down live, but that's what replay is for.
Well, I mean, Ohio State probably leads the conference in apology letters from the Big Ten about calls and that happening. And I say that only a little tongue in cheek with that. I mean, they've got you have 50 people in the coaching box. You got people upstairs. You've got all of this going on. You got 3 get back coaches, but nobody knows nobody can manage timeouts properly. Nobody can manage replays properly. And I'm talking in general. And nobody knows when to go for 2. I offer my services to handle all of that for the low price of 300 large a year, and a company car.
Hey, they've got it.
Yeah,
They've got more money than God. They got more money than IBM. So
I mean,
yeah.
it is ridiculous that there is not something in play there. I mean, I know somebody who is a lower level type coach on a basketball team, Division I basketball team, and he tells me all the things he's responsible for during the game. I have a hard time believing there's not somebody out there that is to try and make sure, hey, coach, I don't think that call was right. There has to be somebody there, whether or not it's your assistant recruiting director or your Connor Stallions or whoever the hell it is. You got to have somebody who keeps you honest on that.